What up, Southwest Virginia? Welcome back to Beats, Brews, and Buddies. My name is Travis Schmidt, and this is
Jeremy Price.
Today on our beat, we are going to talk drums in our first roundtable with our good buddies, JT Faber, Bruce Wall, and Mason Janelle. Give it up for these fellas. Yes. This is their first podcast.
Everybody's first, right?
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun today. So, but before we start in conversation, fellas, I like for Jeremy to tell our guests what we're drinking today, and we're again sponsored.
Again, Travis from Two Roosters gave us a. Let me see which one he gave us. The Winkle Picker. Cheers, guys, and Travis, thank you so much.
Yes,
cheers.
The
kettle
Travis.
corn is cool too. We were going to do the kettle corn.
Yeah,
but it's too early for kettle corn, and his kettle corn is addictive.
Early in the morning.
Cheers. Let's get some clinks.
Oh,
I want to clink the two drummers that I've never really talked to. Not you. I know you. I know you. All right.
Clinky, clinky, clinky.
Guys, thanks so much for coming. We had a couple people not make it. We had Matt Leonard and who was it? Sam Nash.
Sam Nash and Rick Godley.
Rick Godley. So we already got to have a makeup podcast. We really wanted everybody here at the same time. But thank you so much for coming, sharing your time.
Yeah.
And sharing your stories.
No, you guys are fantastic for being here today. So, all right, let's get off started. So we're not doing a bio, ladies and gentlemen, but we're going to have these guys introduce themselves. I'm going to start with my left. JT Faber, state your name and who you groove with.
JT Faber. Right now I'm playing with First Baptist Orchestra. I play at Mill Mountain Theater for their shows. I play in a Dixieland ragtime band we've been together called the Boogie Kings out of Stanton. This is our 36th year.
36 years.
And all of the concert bands around, I'll play a season with them. Rona Concert Band, Winds of Blue Ridge, those types of things.
Fantastic. JT and I play at Mill Mountain. He's been so kind to let me split that part with him here lately. So thank you, JT. So, Mr. Bruce Wall, state your name and who you groove for.
Well, I'm Bruce Wall, and thank you. I'm basically, right now, I'm kind of retired, semi-retired. I played a long time, so now I just kind of fill in. I play with Hoppy Vaughn. When Rob can't make it, and so I sit in and do stuff like that. So just relax.
Who did you play for?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Let it out. Let it out.
Got you, Bruce.
What year you want to start?
Well, I mean, let's talk about the people you played for here. Just state a few that you played for here in Roanoke.
Well, here in Roanoke, I basically, the Kings, and I actually played with the Royal Kings at the King's Inn in the 70s. And I played with, did some work with $5 Shake for a year or so. That was fun. And then I pretty much went out of town. I played with Sandcastle. I've worked some with, Robin Thompson, worked with the Rondales. It's hard to remember. High and Mighty. I was in High and Mighty, which was one of the bigger things. So that one we were out with Mother's Finest for a year or so.
Oh, nice.
And but I was thinking about it, last night, and I would have to write a list. I've probably been in, I don't know, 50 bands.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Well, I mean,
That's fantastic.
That's not a small number. I mean,
No.
if you look at that in years, like everybody takes a year or so with the band, if not more. But so
I like I say, I started playing in 1964 when I was 13.
That's
and,
beautiful.
And I was the guy that went to school. I was a C student or whatever, and C and D, and skipped a lot.
yeah.
And but I was the guy that played all the sock hops. I remember playing when Fannie Boone used to do for the city a recreational at Breckenridge. They had a tennis court in Coca-Cola, and we'd go up, and I was playing there with bands.
Nice.
Like I said, 13, 14. So it was, I don't know. I played a lot.
Well, thanks for being
Excellent.
here, man.
Excellent.
We're excited to hear about them stories.
We're kindred spirits. I was a C student playing late at night. C's get degrees.
Yeah, me too. 13 years old too.
Speak up there, Mason. What you got, man?
I'm Mason Janelle. I'm playing multiple bands around town. most recently, War Child. That's my main groove, and then it's kind of rock, blues rock,
Yeah.
with a little hint of metal in it.
That's
Just a splash of metal.
splash of metal. Splash of metal.
I also play with Carissa.
Krista Joy
Yeah, high frequency.
in the high frequency.
Yeah.
We just had her on as a guest. Yeah, her episode released this week while we're recording it. So yeah, she was literally a bundle of joy.
Yeah,
So
she's a trip.
she's a trip. I hope she listens to this.
I play as well with a little group with Ben Height and Foster. Mountain Walrus is what we're calling it.
I like that name.
We show up, no rehearsal, no set list, and just
Do it.
Just go.
it's fun. Just push play and go.
Hey, that's fantastic. We'll talk a little bit more about that and the structure of that. So, the big question in the room today, fellas, why drums? Since this is our drum roundtable, why did you choose drums?
I'm probably 3 years old, and we have a little console stereo, and folks listening might not know what that is, but it's about 3.5 feet tall, and I'm barely as tall as that. And I figured out that if I got the orange records, the orange-yellow color, I don't know if you guys know, that's Sun Records. Those are the ones I liked. And I'd pull out that color and reach over and then scrape the needle across and wait until I finally found another Elvis 45, and then play Elvis and play it over and over and just listen to the drums in Elvis songs over and over and over and over. And so from age 3, that was it. No questions.
I love that.
That's
That's fantastic.
Tell us what it.
He knew with those records. How old were you? 3?
Yep.
Oh my God. Do you still have those records?
I have the versions that
Of
look
the-
up. I still look. Please don't drag that string around. First one I remember. I remember all those old Elvis
Yeah.
45s. No, we threw them around like frisbees when we were 6. So they're gone forever.
That's crazy.
Do any of us know who his drummers were? I'm not the biggest Elvis fan. I appreciate what he did for them.
Ron Tuck played.
Ron, yeah, it's the only one I know. Is some other? Okay.
Which he was pretty sick.
Yeah, I wanted to see that new movie that just came out, the biography movie of him.
Still haven't seen it.
I haven't either. I heard it was really, really good, and I wonder what story they told not only with him but with his band. So I don't know. Go see it, I guess. Bruce, why drums?
I don't know. It's just it felt right. When I started playing, the stuff I was listening to was Booker T and the MGs, Junior Walker, Carla Thomas, all R&B soul stuff, and I just knew that was going to be me. So I started playing. That's where I went. And I still to this day that's my cut. That's what I do.
Stay
Yeah.
true.
Stay true.
There's a theme going. I want to see if it happens with Mason.
What's that?
Why drums? No, you got to answer first.
I guess my uncle had a drum set, and when I first saw it, he couldn't play it worth a damn. So I was like,
Wow.
I said, I'm gonna take over those reins for him. And just 13, begged my dad for a drum set. He worked nights. He said absolutely not, and I said, please just give me a drum set. I already know how to play them, and then when I get them the first night, first Christmas morning, 13 years old, I'm already already playing. He's like, what in the hell? How do you know how to do this? I was like, I don't know.
I just knew.
I've been listening to it. I've been thinking about what it looks like through my headphones.
So
What do you think I was going to say?
no. So not you specifically, but the underlying theme was that everybody just knew. I don't know if you guys picked that up. Everybody just knew. Like, I loved the stories, but there really wasn't a through line to any of the stories. Really, there's how it happened.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody just kind of knew, and we could jump into maybe we should say no. Let's jump into it. They used to market. I have a bunch of old modern drummers and really really old modern drummers, and they would put ads out looking for musicians or drummers.
Yeah.
Musicians / drummers, and I resented that because I'm like, this is difficult stuff. But the older I get, first off, it doesn't have to be that way. You can play other things, right?
Yeah.
But there's a certain spirit that it takes to be the nucleus of a band, and I find that most people that actually do it and are successful at it just knew. I mean, that's not to say you can't learn, but this happens a lot. People are like, I just knew. It's undeniable. Like the nature of drums itself is to bring people together. You can't ignore them, right? So if you know you have that potential, you just dive in. But everybody had a very similar. Nope, I just knew. So
Yeah. What was your story? This is a round table.
I was a dancer. So I grew up between Manita and Southwest, when Southwest was not pretty to be around. When I was 7 years old, and breakdancing was out, and I just could dance. Not all that well, but better than most people. And I say that because then I ended up in a career where I met people who were really fantastic dancers. But I never questioned the idea that I wanted to move. And as I got a little older and met better dancers, I started going, well, why do I want to move? And it was a drum thing. So I saw this movie called Girls Just Want to Have Fun. It's a teeny bopper movie from the 80s. And the camera angle showed the drummer from the back. And much like Mason, I just saw he was just boots and cats, right? Yeah. Boots and cats. Sometimes he had two boots, boots and cats, and boots cats. And I was like, oh, I got that. I just knew boots and cats. And so I was like, Dad, which probably wasn't far from where you're living, can I get a drum set? And he's like, my dad used to love drums. He used to have them sitting in his apartment or his duplex, and he couldn't play them very well either. He acted like he could play Wipeout. Wasn't too bad. It was recognizable. So so he was like, well, if you work all summer, you can save enough money and you can buy it. And I was like, wait a minute. That's So I did. I put up garage doors with him for a couple of summers, and he bought me a $25 drum kit that was just gross, and I was not appreciative of it, and he got mad at me, and then always encouraged me to have a backup plan. So I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to work really hard at this. That's my story. I just knew that it made me move. And when I played, or when we all play, we make people move. We bring people together. That's the nature of that particular instrument. No one can ignore you, right? Certain responsibility with it. So, your turn.
It was Turn the Beat Around in my mother's van playing, and Mom's like, clap, and my foot's just tapping to it. She goes, you Mom took piano lessons. She's like, you got good rhythm. And I was like, turn the beat around, Mom. And so
turn the van around.
Yeah, turn the van around.
Take me home.
Yeah. And so not shortly after that, in middle school, my best friends started a group, and they're like, we need a drummer. Here's a pad, here's a keyboard, play on the keyboard. And so I just started playing Boots and Cats on the keyboard with it.
I've never heard of Boots and Cats.
Oh,
it's relatively new, and I gotta say I love it.
Yeah. And there it was, and I went and took lessons, and I'm self-taught on drum set until the age of 36 when I started retaking drum lessons with Jeremy Price here. It's been a journey. So, and I know everybody has a journey, and that's really cool to hear the genesis for everybody. So, and it's all like you said, it's all the same kind of premise there. So
we just knew.
Yeah.
Everybody said, I just know.
Everybody's talking about, my dad, drums.
Yeah.
Well, in the 60s, I told my dad, and he worked at the railroad, I want to be a drummer. He laughed for like 10 years.
Man, mine too at the railroad.
Yeah, Dad, and it's like he laughed. And the first drum set I ever got, like you, I literally had to borrow drums. In the first bands I was drummer, I always had to borrow drum sets to play gigs. And finally my mom took me down to United Diamond, was in downtown Roanoke pawn shop, and bought me a 3-piece Kent. But my dad, oh, my son's a drummer.
Just giggling.
Yeah.
This blue set right here, I think it's a Venus. Yeah. This was a rent-a set from what was that store back in the day? It was the drum store. It was the only drum store in
Noteworthy.
Noteworthy Music. Yes. Noteworthy Music. It was a rent a drum set that if you could purchase it if you enjoyed it enough.
Did you not return that?
No, I bought it. I did not. And that's been my baby ever since. And so, and then finally, when House of Schmidt was starting to get a little bit bigger, I decided, okay, I need to probably have another drum set. I'd like to have a practice set and then a live set, even though I didn't play drums for that group, but I digress. So,
wow.
All right, moving on. Favorite drummer, only one, Only one. This is hard. Favorite drummer, only one, and why?
Steve Gadd, because I
Yes.
heard Asia,
Oh, man.
Steely Dan, Asia, and I thought I've never heard anything like that in my life. And then started researching a little bit, and you mentioned you were a dancer. He was the dancer. He's a tap dancer
Yep.
as a young kid, and that's where he feels like he gets his feet, the touch that he has, and you know, I like to think of myself. You know, I kind of not embarrass myself on any kind of music. But I can sit and play just about anything, but I'm not going to be the best drummer in the room on any particular thing. And I look at Steve Gadd, and it doesn't matter. You know, that's the one guy that can play everything.
Yeah.
Like literally, and he can sit in a big swing band and drive it, and it's, you know, it sounds right. It sounds like he's a swing drummer, or he's the funkiest drummer you've ever heard in your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I just look at the CDs or anything, and if I see he's playing, it's like, oh, I got to check this out.
Good answer. Good answer. Way to stick with one.
I hate the fact that I had to grow into Gadd, but I see the value. I'm going to talk about it more in a minute. Yeah, because you just can't say anything negative about Steve Gadd.
No.
Who's your favorite, Bruce?
Thank you. Actually, Dave Garibaldi, because that's kind of when I got playing in bigger bands, you know, out of the garages and rec halls. He plays with him and Rocco have a amazing compassion for each other with music.
Yeah.
And he can play anything, and he's just smooth as can be, and that's kind of to this day that's kind of where I still go. I mean, it's I told you, I think in 07 I was able to do a CD with Mick Gillette.
Yeah, you said that over the phone.
And then basically on that CD I played with Garibaldi was on the CD, and Dennis Chambers, and I got to be on a CD. It was really cool, but I was lucky. I finally got to meet and work with somebody I idolized in my young 20s. So yeah, that was why. So.
He did a clinic for Noteworthy. Were you there?
Yeah.
I was there as a young man.
It's Noteworthy. I did a lot of business with them. I thought it was a good drum shop.
It was.
Yeah, it was a fantastic shop.
Yeah, I'm still talking with Mark, and Mark's on Facebook.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Dave, so we got Steve Gadd, Dave Garibaldi. What you got, Mason? Your favorite?
Boy, I don't know. It's a tough one. I was thinking about this, and I think I want to go with the one that I sound the least like.
The one that you sound the least like?
Yeah.
Because I know who you sound like.
Yeah, well, that's a given.
Yeah.
And then, but who I really enjoyed the most is Stuart Copeland.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's fantastic.
He knows where to put the beat. It's in a different place than where I normally go for, which is.
That was his whole premise. I watched. There's a whole documentary on him somewhere. It's on Hulu or Apple TV or whatever, and he just talks. You want to be a different drummer? Put the beat elsewhere.
Yeah.
Put it over next to the two.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Well, I normally try to play like Bonzo, but it's not something that I can really do right perfect. I guess I can't really do anything like that perfect.
Well, I don't even know that Bonzo played perfect. He played perfect Bonzo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, personality is a huge. We're all here as drummers because we just knew, and you don't want your drummer in your group having doubts.
Yeah.
Even if you disagree, if he's rushed or he slowed down, he rushed to fill. You don't like how he's doing it. You don't want that guy doubting what's going on while he's on stage. So, and Bonzo, no one has been able to play like him.
Yeah. So
If we really get into the nuance.
he's in the top three, but I mean, the other one is Neil Peart. You know.
Okay.
But,
You did see him live.
You see how he plugged in a second one?
Yeah.
He got one second in
He
there.
He's on the
Three? Oh, he did.
He did. He snuck in 3.
Take notes if you're coming on the podcast. We intentionally say just one, and there's other questions. We're like, no, just 3, because you can sit here and rattle off names, but it's cool to watch people think like, oh no, which one really? And also the fact that one of your favorites is someone that you sound the least like. You can get just as much influence and perspective from.
Gives you a different thought about it, where to play the drums, how to put this into the music that I'm playing today.
Oh, it's roundtable.
He said what? He looked at me. What are you looking at me for?
Because I'm not used to answering questions.
I know.
I'm used to asking them. My single favorite drummer he was there at the beginning. When I found him, I knew he was my favorite, and he still floats at the top of, and obviously there are other folks that come in and you enjoy. But he's still there. His name's Will Calhoun from Living Color.
Oh, yeah.
I just spoke about doubting. You don't want the drummer doubting. The moment I hear that guy play, I know I've heard him play ridiculous stuff that was way out of place. He shouldn't have been done, and I just laugh. And I hear him on the records be as solid as he can be. I hear him pulling his roots, his African. He's African American, I believe, but pulling in those influences, and he's African American for sure. I just don't know how connected to Africa he is. I know after Living Color success, he went on a journey to find out, to just dive more into that music. And personality, the moment he plays. Also, like all the fads that show up, whether we're not fads, we're in the drum and bass era like 10, 15 years ago, and that's still happening. All these styles of music, that really old jazz, like Will was doing all of that before any of it was popular. He was just killing the game and not apologizing. So, Will Calhoun, thank you for the inspiration. I got a photo with him too.
There you go.
That's awesome. I'm gonna go with on the same line where Mason was going. The drummer I'm least like. I have one where I know who I play like, and I feel at least I feel like that. But I'm gonna go with the one that I'm least like, and it's Carter Beauford from Dave Matthews Band. I grew up listening to his stuff, and he's just ungodly. It's all 16th notes moved everywhere, and it's pretty phenomenal, in my opinion.
They're sparkly clean too.
They are sparkly clean. Yeah, he's just nuts. He's nuts. I feel like my whole family would judge me if I didn't say Carter Beauford either, which I don't care, but it's fine. I'm gonna say it because I like your answer. Who I'm not like. There's no way. There's no way. But I love it. I love it. I love it.
Like,
you trying to get me to say my second? Look at it.
I didn't do it.
I think
Northside boys, y'all better behave.
Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers. So to me, he's a very solid drummer, and he's in the pocket, and I like to be in the pocket, and I enjoy that. And I like that. I like that.
Mason reminds me. So I've played with Mason in bands where I didn't play drums, and he reminds me of Chad Smith and John Bonham kind of fused.
That's I was gonna say for him was Chad Smith, just by your style and the way you
he's number 4.
arms
Get out of here.
Arms up.
JT, who are your 13 favorite drummers?
Travis.
No, thank you. JT, I thought you were gonna say Buddy Rich.
It was there.
Yeah.
In the back, but
So I mean, that's the beauty of a round table. You can. I was gonna take a guess. So this is my first time meeting Bruce. So and I don't really. Bruce gave me my first opportunity to play drum set in front of a live show, in a live crowd. Sorry, not a live show, live crowd. This is a live show. I was in my, I want to say I was 13, 14, and my dad just got inducted as the Home Builders Association president when he was a general contractor, and the Kings played at it was the Jefferson Center, and Bruce, I guess my mom or my grandma went up to you and was like, "Hey, Travis plays. Would you mind playing?" And I don't know if they paid you or whatever, but I don't know. That'd be awesome if they did. And then you let me play, and I sat and played "Walk This Way."
Did you just shake your head yes, like they paid you? I looked up and he was like,
"Yeah, they pay me."
"Hand me that."
So, yeah, I mean, it's neat to have a different connection with everybody in the room.
That's how you teach.
Yes.
That's a different way to teach. Just find somebody that has the want, the urge, the feeling. If you don't show it to them, to see this is what it is. And I've taken a lot of young kids. I've had some couldn't reach the pedals. I'd put them, on my lap, let them play. I'd actually play a song, and I would take their hand and let them play hi-hat and snare with me.
Oh, that's cool.
And you play the foot?
Yeah. And I would hold them like playing. I did that with $5 Shake. A couple of times we were down at a tavern or whatever it was. And
Yeah.
did that. But I want to say Ainsley Dunbar and
Ah.
and Terry Bozzio.
Terry Bozzio.
Okay, all right, you did it. If I got to pick two, there he is.
All right, moving on. What would you play instead of drums and why?
No, let's not. Hang on. You feel guilty if you leave somebody out, don't you? You feel, like I feel guilty for leaving Terry Bosey out.
Oh yeah. Poor Terry.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
What would you play instead of drums and why? Hold on.
JT, yeah, let's go this way.
Here's my crickets. No one knows how to answer this one.
You know, I've got a. I grew up listening to a lot of 60s rock and roll and stuff, but my dad was at Moose Lodges a lot, which meant my brother and I were at Moose Lodges a lot, which meant we heard a lot of classic 60s and 70s country. I know that stuff better than I know probably anything else. And I'd hear some Conway Twitty tunes and everything, and for some reason what I heard with that was upright bass.
Oh.
In an old classic GCDG country band, just the simplest thing like that. And I'll still hear those tunes. I go like, man, as simple as it is, I think I would absolutely love just sit there and just lay into that.
I love that.
So probably that.
He didn't just say bass. He said upright bass, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Super specific. Good answer. Good answer.
I think, I don't know, probably keyboard bass.
Did you just pick two?
No.
Okay.
No. Actually, being I went through the 60s, 70s, 80s, there were a lot of bands. That's when I guess Prince and The Time and all that. But there were bands going around that really didn't carry a bass player. They had a guy I forget what they call it, but it's keyboard bass because you got all the wobble wheels and all that stuff.
Okay.
You can
I believe that.
you can bend notes and stuff. So I enjoy that.
Did they play the keytar?
No, High and Mighty had one of those.
Oh, that's cool. My boy Ryan Hunt, who's doing our production, he plays one. Get him out here with one.
Weeble, what'd you call him?
Wobble wheel.
Wobble Wheels. That's my next band.
Wobble Wheels. Write it down.
I will. I write stuff down all the time. Mason, what would you play instead of drums and why?
I guess you have to go with the bass guitar. I mean, that's what I play to and with, so it seems like the most percussive instrument that there is, that try to follow along what the drums are doing. It'd be nice to play what my ideas are in my head on a bass
Right.
to what I'm thinking.
No, I mean that makes perfect sense. I mean, I
I'd
think
love to play a guitar and write a song, but I think
look, we got a theme going. We got bass all the way around.
Yeah, same theme. Like I always think of the bass as glue. It's just glue. It's that bridge or a bridge from drums to everybody else in the band.
Yeah.
And I think they most would agree. And obviously there are other ways to do it. But
You
yeah,
gotta
so
be tight. Bass and drums got to go together. So.
so that's three. Bass oriented. Oh, is it my turn? Ukulele. Yeah, I'm tired of carrying drums around.
Yeah, me too.
Are you kidding me? It was actually the first instrument I wrote a song on because my dad was always like, I want to play guitar, son. My finger's too small, so I'm going to get a ukulele. And he never played that either. So I actually learned chords fairly quickly and wrote a song. I don't know how old I was, 9, 10, 11, something like that. And recently I've been playing it a lot more. So, ukulele, it's so little. You can still put effects on it, do a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And not carry all that ish. So I'll play ukulele in y'all's band when you're playing bass.
3 basses and a ukulele player, and then I actually do play another instrument, and I would choose guitar and vocals. I know that's 2, but that's what I do second best, maybe equally as best as the drums. So yeah.
Can I tell a ukulele story?
Yeah, please.
For years in Waynesboro, this little trio that I play with, the Boogie Kings, we played a live radio show. And so we were the house band in this radio show. And so we'd back up all these musicians, once a month. It's really, really interesting. This guy gets out, he's playing ukulele and singing. He's very, very good and interesting and funny. And so my daughter, who's about 6, is sitting right out front with Rachel, my wife. And he comes out and he starts playing. And Caroline leans into her, right in her ear, and goes, "What is that horrible little guitar.
Tangay.
So, in the Faber house, that's what we call ukulele.
A horrible little guitar.
Horrible little guitar.
If I were to ever write music and put it on an album, I might call it the horrible little guitar.
Getting all kinds of good ideas today.
That's why we do it. Just steal your ideas.
Oh man, good answers. Good answers. We would have a great bassy band going together with no drummer. What is the most important aspect of being a drummer? Here we're gonna get into a little science of it all. So, what is the most important aspect of being a drummer?
That's a good one.
Anybody
I
can
heard some deep breaths. So we got one mic for them, like a bluegrass band today, but I heard a
Where do you start?
yeah.
just start this. I figured this part of the conversation would take the longest. So I might be wrong, but
I mentioned before that I like to try to be able to go to any type of gig, and so it's being able to change for me, it's being able to change how I look at playing, and so I might go into a top 40 band, everything's mic'd up, it's driving, there's a click track, and thinking about, all right, don't mess so much with all this stuff, just keep this drive going as best you can right with that click, and just lay that down to where nobody else has to mess with anything. Maybe they don't even have a click. Or I might go to Mill Mountain and we're doing a show and it calls for color, not at all. First, stay out of the way, don't be too loud first. Some of these rooms we're playing in and whatnot, being able to lessen everything. So I think for me, it's sort of being a chameleon in whatever situation comes up and be able to just lightly play with brushes with a little color. And almost sometimes the bass player, you're the timekeeper now in this situation because the drums are too loud or it's too much aggressiveness for this particular singer, especially, and just lay back and sort of just add color. So
Nice.
maybe just opening your mind up that you just have to change your thinking, very quickly in different situations, and be willing to do it, and maybe take pride in being able to do that.
sure.
Ooh,
No,
well,
good answer.
I was waiting on the wisest statement, so that's probably going to. Have you seen our highlights that Ryan does? That's probably going to be on there. I'm calling Ryan. Don't let me down. No, it's wise stuff that people need to hear. Go ahead.
For me, being a drummer, like you was talking earlier, you're the one that has to play with 4, 6, 8, 3 other people. You have to hear everybody, and you have to be able to complement 5, ever how many people you're on stage with. You have to be able to play all their parts without overplaying. In other words, you're kind of driving the bus. The seats are all full, so you basically just have to hear everything that everybody's playing. And the biggest thing that keeps me from going out a lot of times is you have 4 or 5 individuals that all play a song together. They don't, you were talking about bass, and I'm just thinking, if you have a good guitar player, it's easy to stay with the bass, but also play the licks that the guitar player.
Yeah.
Learn if he's taking a solo, learn where you can punch his solo with him. Or take a if it crescendos up, you're still with the bass player, still with the guitar player, going ahead and push the horn section. And that, to me, that's what I get out of it.
That's it's one of the reasons why you keep playing, because it's fun. Those are decisions you make when you play, right? And it popped into my mind. I agree wholeheartedly, but you could sit with a producer in a different room in a different city, and they'd be like, "Do not push the horns. They do not stab with the horns." And some producers would be like, "Yes, stab with the horn." So, and that's the nature of music, the art that it is. So. And we have to make that decision all the time. And if you make all the right decisions, you might get more gigs. And if you don't, you're like, he's overplaying.
Well, no, you might actually have people that disagree with you so badly.
Oh, you will.
You will.
You will.
You will.
Our next podcast is the disagreeers. I'm kidding.
Oh boy. I guess I just need to listen. Everybody, you want to be in charge. So, and you have to be paying attention I mean, just steal off of what everybody else said. You just have to be, in control and listen to what everybody else is doing. So that way, you either drive it or you sit back. And I mean, he really stole it from me on that.
No, well, that's a good
And
thing.
being 6'5" actually helps you.
Long leg.
Sitting down at the throne.
No. When you stand up, it's like, well, I better let's let him do this.
Yeah, I want to drive the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird driving the bus from the back of the stage.
Yeah, it sucks.
There's always that bit. For me, it changes per each group. My responsibility changes to what you were saying. You want to be a chameleon, but oftentimes we're hired because people know they can put that faith in us, and it's not that we don't mess up. It's just that if we do mess up, you recover. I think recovery is one of the most important things because everybody's listening to you. I personally err on the side of no fills or lots and lots of color. That's just how I like to do it. And I think music works that way. We start looking at different styles of music. If you're going to play some any modern pop or hip hop, you're going to hear a tambourine, a shaker, or a bongo somewhere. Put it in there. And then calm down rather than overplaying fills and stuff like that. Listen to the music and paint that picture live as best you can. Make that the challenge more than playing a whole bunch of notes. If you're one of those people, and I have been in my life, who just wants to play lots of notes. The older I get, the less I want to do that. So there are ways to channel that energy and still stay very, very solid. And ultimately, and we all kind of spoke to this, you're sort of a counselor. You're mitigating all the other instruments up there. And if you approach it that way, you'll embrace that responsibility and hopefully not overplay. I overplay at least once every night. I go ahead and get it out of the way. And while we're here, I didn't learn this till this past year, where I started playing drum kit a lot more again. And I like to think of myself as to what you're saying, like going with the horns or maybe not making those choices. I like to play lyrically, especially in a smaller band. So if there's a nice lyrical stab and you stab it, everybody in that club feels it. You're just helping your singer get loud. Now there's some singers that'll be like, why the hell did you just do that? You're like, I don't know, we just lift the energy. Somebody's buying you a shot right now. That might be why. And I'm not saying that's the right decision. I'm saying these are the things we juggle every time we go and play. And yeah, those are my thoughts.
Well, to add to that, I think to go along with the counselor idea, I am a counselor by day. For those that don't know already.
Is that why you didn't play drums?
No, right. No, I think patience is the biggest and most important aspect. Patience with yourself, patience with the people you're working with, patience with the music. It is easy to overdrive. It is easy to overplay, and sometimes it's just easy to get excited about it, and then that excitement sometimes doesn't match what you're supposed to be playing. And I'm learning that now, playing with a pop alternative group, where a lot of it is just 2 and 4, and we've been recording everything on our board, and then our keyboard player has been sending that music back out for us to listen to, and I'm like, listen to my bass drum. I'm like, shut up, bass drum, stop playing that, man. I'm playing too much notes, and it's too much. And so, like, it's nice to have patience with yourself, and I think flexibility as well. You have to have flexibility with yourself and the people you work with, and I mean, that's a whole long list of things to do, but that's just to kind of paint the picture.
Yeah, the bass drum thing you just mentioned. Are you familiar with Sugarfoot Moffett?
Yeah, I met Jonathan probably 10 years ago.
You ever watch his foot?
Yeah.
No, I want to though. What name? Sugarfoot?
Jonathan Moffett.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson.
Oh, I know. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and Eric Moore is another drummer that
He's hot right now.
Yeah.
He's been at it for a while.
He's been hot, but he's crazy. With that foot thing.
You guys familiar with JoJo Mayer?
I know the name.
So you might want to check out JoJo, and he does a heel toe technique, and also Will has been doing that for quite a long time. Just lots of notes.
I had a flatboard bass pedal.
Yep.
It's all it's
Slick.
Yeah.
I got one.
Do you? I sold mine to Jamie L, his brother.
Janiyah.
Yeah, Janiyah.
Nice.
Yeah, I got rid of that. But anyway, sorry.
No. I mean,
This is what we wanted to do.
Yeah, we're talking drums.
We're actually making much better time than I thought we would. But it's turning into this fun conversation.
Yeah. Anything else you guys wanted to add to that? I mean, we do. I liked the word nucleus that Jeremy used earlier.
Nuclear.
Nucleus. We're the nuclear. It's
Another band name.
We are. Yeah. I mean, we are the nucleus, and there's a lot of personalities that go in the different groups. I'm thinking of a story from JT and I. We played In the Heights, and we had a different director, and he was great, but it wasn't the director that we were used to, and so it was hard for me to figure out where what he needed. He was just like, just keep going. And so you and I would sit back in the pit and be like, what are we doing? Like, what else do I need to do? And you would suggest, hey, let's add some flair, like maybe not play this much here. And it's, so my point is that we do tend to play with different people that have different personalities, and those personalities affect us as players. I mean, Bruce, you've been playing with multiple different groups, and you probably have your favorites. And I know, Mason, you do too. That's why you have been with Warchild for so long, right? You pick your favorites because it's those people allow you to be the personality you want to be as a drummer too.
You're talking about you and him sitting or being in the pit, playing. I did a show at the Civic Center in Roanoke, and we were opening for Debbie Reynolds.
Oh.
Yep. Unsinkable Molly Brown and all that. And but she walked in. The band I was in then was Roanoke. It was the Vikings had revamped and went to Nashville and cut an album. And so we were Roanoke at that time. We were doing a show with Debbie Reynolds. So I was, she said, well, I'll just use you. She walks into the rehearsal, looks at that gigantic, drum kit and says, I hate cymbals. I had like 10 strung up, I said, no worries, you'll never hear one. Anyway, so we go to the Civic Center to play the show. After the first rehearsal, her director walked in with a book like this. He said, okay, page 50, 72nd, starting a downbeat in 2 minutes. I looked at Ray Wilkes. I said, because I can read drum music. And I looked at Ray. I said, Ray, I can't do this. I said, I can't read it. And she said, they wanted the downbeat. So I said, Ray, I'm going to follow you. And her band, orchestra leader said, no, you're not. You're going to play that? I said, I'm not sure I can get through it, that quick, in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she flew her drummer in from Vegas because I basically just said, I can't do it.
No,
Yeah.
There's lots of stories like that. I mean,
and, Rip Taylor, to finish the story out, Rip Taylor, the comedian, used to come out and throw confetti and all that crap. He was the opening comedian for the show. And I remember walking around the back of the Civic Center and went by his dressing room. And I forget who's with. I said, Rip said, nice to see you, nice to meet you. I said, what are you going to do after you leave Roanoke? And he looked at me and said, going back to show business. Yeah, he cut that one off quick.
there you
go. Hey, this next question, it's kind of like asking the same question, maybe.
Almost. We'll see what happens. What is the most overlooked aspect of being a drummer? Most overlooked aspect of being a drummer.
From the drummer standpoint, or anybody else's?
I didn't write. It's not my question. It's yours. I'm just kidding. I think from everybody's standpoint would make more sense, right?
Okay, let's reverse this one.
Go ahead.
He wants. JT needs time. He needs time.
I think the most overlooked aspect is if we're comfortable in the pocket and with our tempo, that there's always somebody in the group that thinks that their tempo is right and yours is wrong.
And you turn on the click and find out everybody's wrong.
Correct. So correct.
Played with a click.
I think the overlooked aspect is tempo, and it is what you set it as with your group. And I think it's important to have an understanding that it might be fast. Sorry if it's fast, but if that's what I'm playing, you need to play with me.
Yeah.
You heard it. I mean,
that's.
You heard it here.
Wow. Repeat the question.
Yeah.
The most overlooked aspect, I would say, again, by and large, is carrying the damn things around. And this goes for your band members, the audience people, and this also goes for musicians who go and set the PA, and they're going to play for you, and they're local, quote unquote, local, regional, whatever. It's still a lot of hard work, and people don't really understand what goes into this. So
pay you $100 to go.
Yeah, pay you 100. Yeah. Meanwhile, we have one of the most thriving little music communities I've ever seen. I've been around a lot of places, and it's so bountiful, right? It's here. And we make it happen, and I'm not saying we should get paid more or whatever. I'm just saying that's probably I do too. But I think that's highly overlooked. And it's very easy to say, well, you know what? It's only just 5 drums and a bag of cymbals. It's only just 2 subs. And it's easy to say that until you got to load it. You got to go to the gig. You got to unload it. After the gig, you got to break it down. You got to load it. You got to go home. And if you don't have a gig the next day, you might need to unload it. This is 4 times in one night. And I think if it sounds like I'm, bitching and moaning, I am. 44 years old, man. I still do it because I love it, and our community thrives off of it. I think that's the most overlooked part of being a drummer or a local, regional musician.
I drove my drum case over here.
Yeah, mine stay in the back. Yeah, and it took me years to validate to myself having extra drum kits, and now I have like 3 or 4, and I'm like, nope, one lives here, one lives here. Why you got so many? Dude, but just. You don't even deserve to ask the question.
Yeah, let it be.
I agree with the aspect, but one thing to me that comes into the most overlooked aspect of being a drummer and being a good, well-known, or now I'm not speaking of me, I'm saying any drummer that you've met, the guy you're talking about with Dave Matthews or whatever, his ego is so positive. When he's around the band, the other band members, even if they don't realize it, you were talking about tempo. I've played with those Nazis many times. and I have been surrounded, but
grounded. Like, go to your room.
Seriously, on stage.
Last 5 minutes with those people.
Yeah.
And you're there, but your ego or your self-commitment to your job is overlooked on how strong of a person you actually are. Now some people just think I'm a butthead on account of it, but that's great. I love it. I mean, it's my, like I said, it's our job. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So, but I just think that's the most overlooked part of it.
I have a second answer, but I want everybody else to keep going, and I don't mind.
You take mine.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of times other musicians that we sometimes play with don't think that we're musicians just because we have a pair of sticks and we can play a beat. And what I mean by that is that they simplify what we do, and what we do is it's you're just playing this. You're not playing chords and having the notes and all those things. And I don't think that that's true. Whether you read music or not, and I think that doesn't have to differentiate you with what kind of drummer you are. I can do both, but it's taken a long time for me to do both. And I know that's what helps me get gigs is because I can do both. But I also know that I can sit in and listen. I mean, that's what I do at First Baptist when you're not there, JT. And you can listen to the music all day long, but you have to listen and follow the group and follow the click, like you were saying earlier. And so, I just think sometimes people think what we do is just easy, and it's not.
I think playing with the click track is hard. I don't think I've ever done it.
It's
I've had to play with a bass line, like in the studio. They lay down a bass line and guitar line before they ever had the drum track, and I have to go in and figure that
add that out. Yeah.
Do you find that easier than the actual click?
I think a click is just annoying.
Yeah.
Me too.
I mean, because if you hold your breath 3 seconds longer than you did the last breath, that click's going to get out of time. You'll be struggling to follow it, and I think it takes your creativity away. So,
Solid.
But, yeah.
JT, you want to add to that because you play with a click all the time?
I started 25 years ago. I played in a big church in Richmond, and we did these Christmas and Easter things. But at Christmas, we do 22 shows, 2.5 hours each, all on click. So I walk into that situation, kicking and screaming. Don't need it, don't like it, don't want it. But you know.
Does everybody on the click? Everybody in the.
Everybody who wanted to be. The rhythm section was definitely, but if you were a trumpet player and you wanted to be on a click, you could be, or you could turn it off. And the conductor was definitely on a click because, you know, everything was situated off the singers, and plus there were some pre-recorded vocals to thicken the choir out in these shows that we were doing. I mean, you know, angels flying all over the place. It was a big, you know, a small version of a New York stage show. And then I got into, you know, probably the second week of doing it. I did this for 10 years and loved it. And now I love playing with the click. I'd play every gig for the rest of my life with the click if I could.
Yeah.
I get tired of the Nazis. The Nazis are gone. You know.
Yeah.
Now you're the Nazi.
I just relax with the click, and I think I'm a better drummer when I play with the click.
You know, some of the bands I sat in with and have played with recently, they all play to a track. In other words, it's a band that's playing, you know, they got all this stuff, but like the bass is a track, guitar is a track, and these guys are all standing up there with guitars playing with a live track.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's very it was a very different notion for me, but when I started to substitute at First Baptist, and Brian Holt is the conductor now, and Brian was one of our guests here, and I mean, what a phenomenal dude with a great background from Berkeley, right? And so the way they run that, it was very different and very scary for me coming in as a young drummer to sit in and play with the track and a click. I said track and click together. I said clack.
I don't play with a clack track.
Clack track.
And so it is, but once you get used to it, there is something really magical if you can just settle with it. And yeah, so it's hard. It's not fun, but there is something neat about it too to kind of support you, JT, on that, because I know not everybody enjoys it.
I think it's my age.
No, and that's
Hey, we're not that far apart.
I don't like it at all. Yeah, I'm the young gun in this room.
you are the young gun.
That's right.
Oh man,
Did you ever play at Martin's Garage in Harrisonburg?
I've been there. I grew up in Stanton. So.
Yeah, I played at, Stanton. It was a club. The guy lived in a trailer behind it. Junction.
Yeah.
Function at the Junction.
I used to sneak in there.
Wow.
Did everybody get a shot at that question?
I'm good.
yeah.
Y'all hit on everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to it. What now? Oh, this is probably my favorite.
You can give it to him.
What does your personal style or expression pivot on at the instrument? No, I don't want to know about your daily life, more about your personality. But when you play, you know, what's a pivot on? What makes you when you play drums?
I would say when I go into a gig, and this is opposite most drummers, talk about driving the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't drive the bus a lot of times, and I don't see myself as a bus driver a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And at least a number of the things that I do, and you know, I played with Brass 5, this little brass quintet, and added a drummer, and I would just add in drum set, or you know, I had a set of bells or whatever, and it was really to back up this group, and I go into most situations as I'm gonna almost think of myself as a backup to begin with, and then if they need someone to take it, I'll do so. With a click track, you don't need it. There's the bus driver. You know, so it's a real different mindset, I think, going in. But especially if I go in with a singer and like a small jazz kind of thing. I don't really play a lot of jazz or anything, but it might be a pop singer with a piano player and a guitar. Boy, I walk in going, I will not be the loud drummer they've ever had a problem with. I'll be the drummer that, if anything happens, come on, man, we need a little bit more. And so I will play less and less and less until someone says more, and just add a little bit of this around everything rather than up and down. So maybe harmonically adding stuff rather than strict groove.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Again, it might be that's totally different than
It's
most
different.
drummers.
I think the difference there, to me, is club drummers or standalone nightclubs or concert or tour stuff like that. I think the stuff that you're playing is probably more polished, or it's there. It's like you say, it's like with your Christmas show thing. I mean, I'm just saying the stuff that you play, I'm not sure I could take. I couldn't do it. They'd fire me when I walked in.
Well, that's a good point, because everybody's gig is very different in this room. So Mill Mountain and First Baptist, I mean, those are very different gigs for you and for me, since I've helped out with those than the nightclub gigs, the bar gigs. They are very different gigs. So I appreciate that perspective. Yeah, because it is important, I think, when you're going into a setting like that, even if you're doing a brass stuff, sometimes it is a little bit in the background.
It's the whole deal. Like say the club stuff. What does everybody do? What is your stage fright routine, regardless of the gig or where you're playing? What do you do right before you walk on stage?
Oh, that's a whole separate question.
Bruce hosting the show right now?
No. I was just thinking, because they're so diversified, the different styles.
Yeah.
It's like for me, I always got to go to the bathroom.
Of course, I like to stretch my wrists, stretch my hands out, touch my toes a few times.
Yeah, that's my new routine. Jeremy taught me. I'd ask. I'm like, I don't know any stretches or warm up routines. You got anything for me? So
why did your voice change?
I don't know.
You taught us that 15 years ago.
Yeah, and you just forget.
Just
2 sticks.
Just move it. Yeah, it's actually better to move it a little bit before you go stretching it. Just get some blood flow.
I'm just curious. I mean, because I've never sat in a room with this many drummers.
Yeah, it's fun though.
Yeah.
It's usually illegal in most states.
Oddly enough, I don't have one of those. If there's something I'm ever afraid of, I go as quickly as I can into it.
Yeah.
I'm not. That has served me well and also ruined me in many ways in my life. So I don't really, because of that, I just don't. It's not that I don't get nervous. I'm like, let's go. I just want to go head first. I don't really warm up anymore. I don't stretch very much because I'm doing a lot of physical activity all the time. Yeah. So it's not that I would tell anybody that asked me, what do I do before I go play? I would have a list of things, but I don't know.
What size crowd make you nervous?
What size crowd?
Yeah. Since I'm hosting now.
Get him, Bruce. Get him.
I don't.
10,000, 15.
The largest I ever played for was probably 35 or 40, and there's a level where, and you guys need to answer this because I know I'm going to have this oddball answer. There's a level where it's so damn big, how can you care anymore? Does that make sense? So there's 100 people, and there's some dignitaries in the crowd. There's fellow musicians that you care about, if we're still into that. Now I'm like, come on, let's hang out and talk about it, rather than try to impress a musician, which is a mistake a lot of musicians make. There's a level where, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's 1,000, 2,000. There's a level where it's just, it's almost like nobody's in the crowd.
The size of the room doesn't bother you or nothing?
No. What I would say about sizes of rooms, and for any drummer listening, play to the room, and I'm not talking about the audience. I'm like, look at the walls and just listen to how loud you are. Because the last thing you want to do, you don't want anybody to leave because you had to squeeze out some sextuplets and you couldn't squeeze them out without playing extra loud. You don't want anybody to leave for that reason. If your band's bad and they leave, cool. If they've had too many drinks and they need to go, that's cool. That's safety. Like, don't bludgeon anybody because you need to get these notes out.
Oh no, I meant, like, to me, if I'm in a civic center or a theater or something, I get vertigo if I'm looking up at the ceiling.
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
Oh gosh, any other room just moves with me. I get paranoid.
Well, I can tell you what does make me nervous from time to time still is how a really good monitor mix.
Yeah.
The drums will sound so good. I'm like, do I even deserve to be playing these things? You know what I'm talking about? Especially, I'm not a fan of in-ears, even though I'm making the switch. Yeah. But when it's like, you're like, is that me?
Yeah, you feel it comes through the
you get a little. I'm like, they could hear all that.
Yeah.
I talk when I play. I hum. I talk trash.
Me too.
And I don't want people to hear me. So. Yeah, I guess it's being that exposed.
Yeah. Do you ever use a seat kicker?
No, I haven't. No, I've got one at home. She keeps me lined up.
No, I'm just saying it's.
Is it nice?
It's pretty cool.
You have one, Mason?
No, Matt Leonard's got one. He would be able to shine some light on this.
No,
Yeah.
It's
sweet.
When you're playing, talking about the mix.
Mm-hmm.
When you hit your kick drum, you're always thinking, does the sound man have any bottom on this drum at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the room that we're talking about, you're not feeling your boom, And so I decided that that's what I did. I went and got a seat thumper. It takes all that out. I mean, you go to some concerts now, if you get there during sound check, you can hear them rattling all over stage when they're running a line.
JT, do you have one?
No,
No. Have you played on one before?
I have not.
I've Sean Deal did a seminar years ago in Tennessee when I was Northside's drumline instructor, and we went down there, and he had one, and he had one in one of the. I don't know if it was his or if it was the studio's, but it was pretty wild. It was a very different sensation, literally.
You can set the cut. I mean, on that, but
yeah,
to make that room feel big, which talking to what you're saying, that's that brought me all the way around. And finally, I just went to Alesis DM Pro and went to triggering.
Good for you.
Nice.
All right, back to the question. What does your personal style expression? No, don't be.
Bruce, I think we're going to have you on as guest host.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Personal style and expression pivot on. So that's to you.
Okay. Personal style in me. I always played, I listened to other drummers, but style, I always just played my style. And it got me fired 3 or 4 times. But I also got hired, 50 others. But I always just took whatever I heard. I'm not the guy that plays every lick that's on the record.
Yeah.
Or tape or whatever they have nowadays, 8 tracks. But I'm just saying I was never that person. Ever. I always just played. I mean, I played the tempo and played the signature stuff that had to go in, but everything else was just me, and that's
Man, I think we're kindred spirits. Mason, say something.
He's speaking through me too. I mean, everything, he's got it figured out. I mean,
I'm 100 years old.
I think I feel the exact same way. It's just everything he said is what it feels like to be a drummer.
Yeah. So my personal style expression, I don't know. What you're both are saying, and nowadays, now that I've come back to the drum kit, it was quite a while I didn't play it. I don't apologize for how I want to phrase things. Like you said, signature. If there's something signature, I'll do it. And there's lots of times where I'm like, I wish the original music had done this a little differently, and that's okay. And it's not downplaying the original stuff at all. It's not that I can't play it. It's that it's not that night in that room with those guys is very different than that CD.
And how much you're drinking.
And
how much you're drinking.
But I'll say that that's a new development because I think more like JT. I really like I do like playing to a click only because it's very meditative for me, and it does. If there's an elephant in the room, the imaginary elephant, the argument of tempo. You just don't have that anymore. I like removing it. It's also very meditative, and I don't mind pushing ahead and pulling back and playing with it. I'm like, you think you're the boss, but really, you're just a barometer. So I don't mind that at all. I was many years. I put a lot of time into studying styles. I wanted to be like a Weckl. I wanted to be a guy that could do every style so well that I would always have work.
Right.
The older I got, I decided I didn't want to be that. I wanted to be the guy that played like me because I didn't see too many people approach the instrument like me.
Right.
For better or for worse, let that be known.
No.
But by not apologizing, the bands that I get fired from, which is a couple, I really didn't want to play with them anyway.
Yeah.
If I had, I would have done the thing. It had nothing to do with them or the music. It was the whole chemistry. And the ones that do enjoy how I play, we end up feeding each other, and then that thing grows.
Yeah.
So that I approach it that way now. I used to approach it very I don't want to say academically, but I should. It was academic. I want to learn this. I want to play this. I want to play it like this guy. And I figured out that those folks that don't apologize and maybe stick to 2 or 3 styles, those are the dudes that I'm buying tickets to see.
Right.
They do their thing. So I fell into that after a lot of training. So that's that. I'll add this breath. I think that each crowd you play for is different.
Yep.
Each night you play is different. And if the tempo needs to, I've actually kept my seat in bands because I would slow down and let the singer get a little more air behind him to do a trill.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in case in point, I won't name names because I don't know how they feel about it. Tennessee Whiskey, which we all probably have played. Maybe I played it enough for all of us.
Yeah.
You know, some people don't even try to do that Chris Stapleton riff. Some people can do it, and it still doesn't sound like Stapleton. That's a spirit that drives us into music. I got one dude just holds a note. He just sings that one note. He doesn't do the riff, and he doesn't need me to slow down, and I don't slow down. I have a guy that actually goes for his version of it, and he needs more air from his diaphragm, so I need to drop that tempo a little bit. I'm very aware of that kind of stuff, and I think that's why I get the gigs that I get. I don't mind expanding and contracting a little bit.
I'm gonna go a little bit on the outside for this question. So for me, it's my personality. Just being kind and showing up on time. I think that's real important. What were you gonna clap or laugh?
I did.
But Jink. There you go. So
No, I want.
he did want to laugh.
That's a real laugh, though.
It is. So, and what I mean by that is, I think I play with kindness, and I try to work well with the other people in the room. I ran an 8-person band for 8 years of my life, and I had 4 mentors and a best friend in that group, and that was difficult for me. And I wasn't the drummer at the time, but I learned a lot about myself and leadership and the role that I wanted to have when I got back on drums and what I wanted to do. And that's when I started getting gigs. You pulled me in, JT, at First Baptist. I remember the phone call. Don't you ever play better than me? Was the words JT called. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, because I looked up.
Too late.
Yeah, because I looked up to you. You know, I looked up to you, and I heard you play several times, and then, you know, see these young guns playing out in town like Mason. You know, and they're just you've played for. In this town for how long now?
How much older are you than Mason?
I'm not that much older. I'm like a year or two. But I'm buttering him up. No, but seriously, you've been playing in this town a long time.
2005.
So, I mean, that's
I was
fantastic.
18.
Yeah, I gotta say, Mason has been at it since I moved in 2003. I went to Boston, and I didn't really come back until a few years ago. And you've been at it since.
I should have went with you.
He has been at it, and so have you. I learned you guys have just been at it.
I'm just getting older every time somebody says that.
Yeah, I would
I
come.
was 18 in 2005. So.
I would come back intermittently and see so many people that I either knew or had taught at one time playing, and I'm like, this is great. Yeah, I didn't even realize. I wouldn't have realized without leaving. But Mason has been at it consistently.
Well, I mean, that's the reason why we're doing this podcast.
Mason beats the hell out of his drums.
Yeah, he does beat the hell.
Done some regional stuff too.
Yeah.
So, I think we got everybody.
Everybody get one in on that?
I got 5 or 6.
Speak now or forever.
Totally switching gears. So let's talk about gear. Let's talk about your tuning. Let's talk about your sticks. What do you guys use? What are you playing with nowadays? What do you love? What do you hate?
A lot recently, some of the gigs at Mill Mountain Theater, we've done some old-timey Sound of Music, 42nd Street, and I bought a set of Ludwigs in 1977, and they're 1972 drums. 10 years after that, I bought a nice set of DWs and used those for years. And then maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I got the Ludwigs out and refinished them, recovered them, put everything in, and I love those drums now. So for the Mill Mountain stuff, I'm doing that. At Mill Mountain, we've got a really nice Pearl set, a recording series set. And the DWs I'll use for, I just did a steel drum band gig and played those. It's got a big, deep bass drum. I like my toms as far as tuning, and they're ringing a lot, except for maybe one little gel on each tom. That's about it. Snare drum's wide open. Bass drum, super kick too, and maybe a little tiny bit down here. John Bottom, I heard that, and I was like, just let it ring, man. Let the drums go. Because to me, where they sound like they might be ringing a little bit too much right here, they're not. That's being lost out there. And I think when you deaden them down here, especially if there's no sound man, mic in each drum, by the time they get out there, it's like hitting a cardboard box. So I like them wide open a little bit, but not tuned up high like a jazz set. Tuned probably a medium level and letting them ring.
Cool. What cymbals do you play? You play a variety? Zildjian. Hi. You were saying you have a bunch of drum sets.
Well, anymore I have two basically, and one of them is a 10-piece, and the other one is a 5-piece. The 5-piece is Orange County percussion. I use Evans heads. My stuff, the kick drum. When I hit my kick drum, the front head, I use a kick port. So if they're micing it, I have a kick port. But when I hit the drum, my front head basically is so loose it does this. And I mean, it's all bottom end, and I don't, my kick drum has that ring that comes on the head, deadener, whatever. I use that, and that's it. My toms, I was taught this years ago. Y'all might research it and help me out. Each drum shell basically has a note. Like a 12-inch is a concert C, you know, and your kick drum is a regular C, but you're an octave down from C. But I just, that's, you know, a lot of guys they have their own pitch, you know, to the head. And when you're tuning, do you all take and tap, you know, each lug to make sure the tension, like put your finger in the middle of the head and tap?
Yeah.
I'm saying that I didn't learn any of that till probably too late in life, but you know, I just tune mine like standard.
I cheat. I've got one of those sweet tension tuners. So you put it on the drum head and you can tune all of them to the same tension. So
I bought one.
Mason's laughing like nerd. I know it. And I'm proud of it. I am proud of it.
I bought one of those in Richmond in the 70s that actually looked like it was two copper things, and at the bottom of it had a scale.
Yep.
And when you do it like that, it would show you standard pitch
yeah.
or high. Yeah, I did that for years.
I love it. I love mine. Go ahead. I don't care. You're my teacher.
He didn't teach you that.
No, he didn't.
And I used for years. I've used ProMark 808 oak
I like 808s.
Nice.
for years. I did that, and I use a DW 9000 double, and then I've got a 5000 double, and then I have a Tama Titan pedal out of the 70s, which looks like a elevator shaft with a, you know, it's literally, you know, it weighs a ton, but yeah, I've had that since then.
Cool. I've got all kinds.
Do you?
All kinds of drums.
How many do you have now?
6 or 7 kits.
Good for you.
Good Lord.
But one of them is all the same color, so 2 different size configurations. They're 3-ply maple Ludwigs. Pretty sweet. I got a Black Beauty snare, a couple
Those sound
acrolites. And
You've always been a Ludwig type guy, right?
yeah. I mean, I have a set of Tamas, Star Classics. I traded everything I had for those back when I was, 19, 20. And I just held on to them because they're my workhorse.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've switched around a lot. I used to play big sticks, like 3As, and then I switched. Now I'm using like 7As.
Yeah, I like
And,
5As. I'm big for 5As.
Something small with the bead tip.
Your cymbals love you better that way.
Yeah. And my hands, my wrists too. But I normally use Remo,
Yeah.
I try to use 1-ply heads as much as possible,
Why?
just so they can sing a little more. You got to replace them a little more, but
It's less complicated.
especially on the snare, if you got a 1-ply drum on that snare, it's really gonna
Pop.
yeah.
Yeah.
I run them wide open. Snare's a little tighter than everything else, but normally finger tight, and then maybe 1.5 cranks all the way around.
Nice and loose.
Just as low as the drum can go. Get it as low as you can go, even the smaller drums.
I'm having so
You
much.
taught me that a long time ago. You said you can make a small drum sound big, but you can't make a big drum sound small.
Can't. Well, I mean, now with electronics, I think you can do anything. But back in the day, it's also good to be, I guess, lenient in your tuning. Especially when I play little clubs, I will tune down because I can hit them physically. I'm comfortable playing them. Whether they sound good to me or not becomes irrelevant. If I'm in a room that can only hold 50 people and only 20 are there, I would rather tune those drums lower so I can physically play the same.
Yeah.
And then and then people aren't leaving because I'm too loud. Yeah. And even then, sometimes people will leave because I'm too loud. But it's not me. Drums are loud.
Nazis.
Some of these little dogs, they get really scared.
Yeah, they get scared.
Like, oh, here comes Mason.
Good.
Yeah,
Then you got the people that are there want to be there.
That's right. Oh, here he comes in this little place.
Yeah, I think you have to be responsible with your tuning, and so changing it to the room is okay. I also think so that I think it was DW that started stamping drums with tones, and I would say probably any piece of wood that's circular has a more dominant resonance, but they started stamping it. And then there are people I would read about producers making sure if the song was in D, they come in and tune the kick drum to D, and while that's worthwhile, especially for a recording, I find that every drum will sing if at its own. It's about the length of the note for me. So if I were to take this drum right here and hit it, I would start tweaking it. And obviously, I want the top and the bottom to be very close. Sometimes I actually like the bottom to be a little lower. You know how some teachers like make sure they're exactly the same. Well, that's a cool listening exercise. But I like I like a little dip. That's probably drastic.
A little less on the bottom.
A little less. Going and a lot of jazz stuff kind of goes the other way. But I try to get the drum to resonate as much as it can. I don't care what the note is. I think the drum is going to sing. So I try to get bum as long as it'll go. Oh, yeah. And then part of the playing aspect would be if it needs to sing less. I mean, you could throw a gel or something. Sometimes I'll use my hand. I'll actually play less and be like, because I wanted to make that sound. And then people are like, why's he touching it with his hand? And I'm like, we talk about that on the break.
He does that with his cymbals too. He plays these really big crash cymbals, and I'm like, those are beautiful, and they just ring.
It's a ride. That one. So I got this 22-inch ride lately, and it is my only crash on my kit. But there are times where I'll hit it, and I'll stop playing this hand because I want to break. So I'm like, and just chill out like this for a second. I mean, I play a lot. You guys risk getting old? Mine are starting to get old.
Yeah.
And I even try to take care of them, but yeah, play to the. I tune the drum to the drum, if that makes sense. I think each one will sing somewhere, and I try to find that. And that's if I have time. If I don't have time,
Let him ride.
true. You touch it differently. If it's real ugly, if it's like you got one of those, you're gonna avoid it most of the time, unless somebody goes, "Hey, let's play this reggae tune." And you're like, "Wow, it's gang 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 gang," and you play that one. You're like, "Yeah, I'll use it for what it's."
That drum just meowed at you.
Sorry,
Meowed.
I've played some cat drums before. You know what I'm talking about?
I do, because I don't tune my drums. So I don't.
What are these, Travis?
That's a Mapex. I'm a big Mapex fan. I love that maple sound. I got a little small Questlove Ludwig in the back corner that I play. It's
sweet.
Yeah. Those I think that's either the Mars or Jupiter. I am horrible with gear. I hated this question because I get so much flack. I don't know what gear I play. I know that it looks pretty and I play pretty. Most of the time.
Pretty.
Most of the time. So
Yeah, I don't really.
I'm not a gearhead, and I am. That's my downfall. I feel like as a musician and drummer, I couldn't tell you. My sound guy in here could probably tell you the barcode off of all of his all of the things that he runs, and like I am just not that person. I can't. I don't remember it. So
My wife kills me now. I come with a drum set. I say, I'm going to flip this thing, and then I set them up and start playing. I'm like,
I want to keep it.
I think these are staying right here.
Yeah. It's taken me a while to get comfortable back because I sang and played guitar for the last 8 years, and so now that I'm playing again, it's finding the placements of your things, and because I like to play with toys. I've got the tambourine, I've got the wood block, and then JT gave me this sweet triangle beater, and I play the hell out of that. And I love that thing. It's one of my favorite.
I love it. I love the sprinkles, man.
Yeah.
And I guess might be an age thing too. I love the sprinkles, especially if you have a tendency to overplay or you're in a loud. I love sprinkles. I love like shakers. Grab your shaker and don't play your ride at one of your next gigs and do this number and just watch people really love it. Really love it. And I'm like, okay, it's actually easier for me.
Yeah, it's much.
And things like triangles and tambourines. I've been playing with 4 tambourines, 2 of them stacked on top of each other, a yellow one and a red one. And you guys ever do that? Like just set up a weird drum set? I'll do it at the gig. I'm gonna set this up a little weird, and I haven't drank in 3 months, but I would be like, I'm gonna set this up a little weird. I'm gonna get a shot and a beer, and we're gonna see what happens.
Okay.
As far as gear, I did just add the Roland SD1 electronic little drum pad. I'm very excited. I just plugged it in the other day. I haven't even listened to it, so hope it works. But I'm really excited because I'm playing pop. I'm playing pop alternative now in a group, and so I just feel like little claps, little snaps really add a lot. My keyboard player is doing it, and I want to do it. I want to do it. I
You
want
ought
to
to borrow my DM Pro or DM5. You ought to borrow that. I'll bring it to you.
Oh, please do.
I got the triggers and stuff.
Yeah, those Octapads, all of them, they're expensive nowadays, like $900. Yeah, they're crazy, but they do add a lot. I know Jeremy's drummer in Rootlock uses them.
He uses mine.
He
uses Rob. You use all my stuff.
Rob.
Give me my. I've got these 10-inch hi-hats that were like $60 at Star City Drum, which we should mention because there's a drum round table. It's actually I'm not sure. Maybe it's just because I'm not out buying gear a lot anymore. But there's a drum shop in town, Star City Drums.
It's on Main Street in Salem.
Main Street Salem, and they've actually got it's not huge, but there's some stuff in there. We should plug them.
Ian Lee,
Mhm.
Brand.
Yeah.
He takes good care of me.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. Yeah, I've bought a few things off of him here recently. I go to buy my sticks.
That used to be noteworthy.
Yeah.
I thought so. I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to be wrong. It used to be
Where
noteworthy.
was noteworthy in Salem?
It's right there.
It's off of Melrose,
Right across
so
from Lakeside.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's off there.
Melrose and Main Street meet right there.
Yep.
That's where they're at.
So what's his name? The guy that's in the store?
Lee Brown.
Lee Brown.
Brown.
So that's where I got this 22-inch Wuhan ride. I walked in. This is why I don't go in anymore. I'm older, right? I guess I have the money to buy stuff if I really want it. When you're young, you can go because you're dreaming.
Yeah.
So if you're older and hopefully you have some money, you go in there. And I was like, whew, I hit this symbol, and I'm like, I don't know him that well. I'm like, why you got to have this in here? And he was like, he didn't. I was like, I'm just joking because now I have to take it home. I didn't want to spend this $220 today, but now I have to take it, and it's my main crash lately. Is that
They got nice equipment in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some cool
they're
stuff.
good dude. He's got a lot of DW sets in there.
Yeah.
So
I buy a pair of drumsticks every time I go. You know, just support local business.
yeah,
Mhm.
and
Buy a
we're
drum head. I'm gonna go there when I leave here. I'm gonna buy a drum head and a couple pairs of sticks.
Mm.
I gotta play tonight, so
Who's playing tonight? How many of us are playing tonight? Just you and I?
I'm drinking.
Okay, cool.
well, JT, when we air this, it'll be a little bit later. But JT, you're gonna get ready to play Mill Mountain again.
Doing a show called Ladies of the 80s
Yeah.
in a couple of weeks. It's a 2-nighter. So they bring in 3 or 4 singers, usually from New York City, wherever. These are, and this obviously women who travel around doing shows all over, and they'll bring them in, and then they have the pit orchestra or pit group that Seth Davis, Mike Havens, myself.
Yep.
We might have a keyboard player, but I think we're doing this as just the 3 of us. And so we're doing about 30 songs. 32, 34 songs, all from Blondie and Madonna, Tina Turner.
That's fantastic. That's
I'm
cool.
a-
Fun gig.
I didn't mention
What
I
is
have
this?
an E-set now I bought. I don't know if I told you.
Electric set?
Yeah. And so I'm going to use that.
Did you buy?
for
Did you
this
buy
gig.
the was it a Roland?
Mhm.
Yeah,
wow.
I have one at the church and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm going to use it for that. That'll be the first time I'm using it in a gig.
that's cool. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah. And
Sound guy will really love you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, fellas, thank you guys so much for being on the show. We've got one more question, and we call this the Buddy Gauntlet. The Buddy Gauntlet part of the show is where I don't send you this question. I typically try to send our guests questions just so they can have an idea of what they're going to get themselves into. But this has been a really, really great roundtable, and we hope that you guys come back and whether individuals or to the next roundtable. So
Yeah, we already got to have another one.
Yeah.
Because,
So and blessings to Matt and to Sam and to Rick who couldn't make it today. It would have been a little tight with 6 of us. Or
now we know,
Yeah, now we
and
know.
they can just come do the
next
second
one,
drummers
yeah.
roundtable. But we also, if you're interested in being on the show, if you're doing music here in Roanoke or Southwest Virginia, like hit us up on Facebook. Like
Yep.
let us know. We are booked for the rest of the year, but we're having a really good time sharing the experience of what it is to be in Southwest Virginia and be a musician. And there's a lot going on here. So let us know if you want to be a part of it.
Please do. So hit him with that Buddy Gauntlet, or do you need me to
Well,
ask
can we confer what it was? Because we had
Yes,
conversations
I'm going to
about it.
confirm. So I I came up with this question yesterday. Favorite memory behind the drum set.
That's right.
One memory, favorite memory behind the drum set.
Uh-oh.
Favorite memory behind the drum set.
Does anybody want to go?
I don't know if this is favorite, but it is certainly the most interesting thing that ever happened.
I'll take most interesting.
For two.
And it's the first thing I thought of, so maybe it is my favorite. I'm playing on a cruise ship, and so we had, each week a different act come in. So ventriloquist comes in, and he's got this little, and so to close the show, he sings with the dummy, "Let's Call the Whole Thing Off," just an old 40s thing, and we're playing and everything for it. And to close it, the very last thing, he sings harmony with the dummy.
What?
How do you do that?
Well, how you do it is you give the drummer a mic, and I just very slowly lean down and sing harmony.
That's pretty good.
And everybody's going, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh." And so we did it for rehearsal, and I'm not a singer, and I'm not kidding. Literally, my wife wouldn't let me sing Christmas carols in front of our kids because she said they might think that's what should happen. And so I couldn't sing anything, but I leaned down during rehearsal and did it and killed it. And he turned around and goes, "My gosh, it was great." And then and we do the show, and I lean back down and do it, and I'm maybe 2 steps off from where I should be, 3 steps. I don't even know. I have no idea. Did the gig afterwards. He goes, "Yeah, we're gonna let the guitar player play that." And pulls the mic away.
Wow. That's fantastic.
I was in West Virginia.
Hey, this is G-rated.
Keep it G. I was getting ready to say the same thing.
I've heard that.
So when I said I was in West Virginia, that threw it off.
Yeah,
Y'all knew it was coming.
we did.
No, I was up there playing a club called Galaxy 2000, and my extra snare was still in the equipment truck. And I was on stage playing. This was with Dazzle Boys, which we did a lot of tubes, Talking Heads, all that stuff.
Nice.
So we're sitting there hammering it out. For my drum monitor, I had 2 single 12-inch scoops with, it was just loud. They're talking about loud. Anyway, my bottom of my snare stand, one of the pods came loose. It busted. So my snare drum starts to fall off, and I'm playing no hi-hat at that time. I'm holding my drum, right in the middle of the song. The monitor tech runs up on stage, and while I'm still beating the death out of this drum, he lays down on his back during the song under the drum, and he's sitting there, and he put something through it so I still have the cup, for the snare to sit down. And to me, that was hilarious. And other than that, the same night they had a girl in a bikini sitting at a dunked stupid whatever. And the Brian Whelan, the guitar player at the time, walked over there. We were doing something. She was sitting up there, and he just took his foot and hit the thing. I've got a book full of memories. Actually, I do.
Write them down.
I'm blessed.
Yeah, I'm over here dreading when it's my turn. I'm trying to pick one. So take your time.
I'm trying to think about anything that crazy. Other than just, when you put your foot through it, and then what do you do after that?
What do you do?
There's no more Mason answer. Every time he puts his foot through it, which I get that.
I've only done it a few times, but it's like you just crapped your pants. Or whatever.
What do you do now?
Oh no!
There's nothing you can do.
That's actually the technical term for that.
Is that what it is?
I just grab my pants.
It is.
Oh, keep the bass strong.
And you hit that thing and it goes and it hits all the way on the shell. You're like, oh no, oh no.
Can how many times have you had to sub the floor tom for them? So can you turn into this guy because it's just it's unavailable. It's unavailable, and people look at you as if you're intentionally not playing it right. The other members are like,
yeah. I'm like, I got problems here.
yeah, which makes the whole thing worse. So you just got to you got to have the backup floor tom groove. Yeah, I also believe in an auxiliary snare. Not because I bringing it around, because something's going to happen. And you just go over here and hit that one. What's the question again?
Favorite memory behind the drum set?
I mean, no offense to all the bands I play with, but I played in this band called the Hats, and I felt like my feet never touched the ground when I played with those guys. It was just one of those things. It was every time, even we had bad nights. I'm gonna say my favorite memory though, and I was playing in my garage. I just got hired to do Stomp, and I had to move to Boston with no money, and my whole family came around and said, "Hey, Jeremy finally made it, right?" And I was just going to audition. It was like a 6-week audition. There's a pre-audition, and there's a you might not make. We got to get to know you for 6 weeks, so kind of felt like a reality show. But at that point in time, my family just showed up one day to give me some money because I was moving to Boston. It's expensive, and to celebrate, right? And they all asked me to go downstairs and play drums in the garage. And it was Justin's drum kit, which I still don't like. It's in my studio. I'm using it. Thank you, brother. But I went down there, and then all of a sudden, my entire family wanted to hear me play drums. And everybody loved that I played drums. Everybody encouraged me, but there was always this underlying theme of like, you're probably not going to get anywhere playing drums. I'm not saying they said this. They're saying have a backup plan. And I was like, you're right. I'm not going to get anywhere playing drums. I'm going to get there playing trash cans. Yeah, I'm going to get there playing trash cans. So, but at that point in time, my entire family gathered in the garage, and I just played some dumb beats, and I was crying because I didn't really want to leave. I figured out I don't want to move away from home. Like, oh, I'm not crying. And all my family like, go get it, little Jeremy, go play them drums. And I played for like 4 minutes and just some simple beats, and I was like, I can't do this. Thank you guys for coming. And so if I have to pick now, that's what I'm picking. And it happened about a mile from here.
That's fantastic. No, that's great. I've already shared the story about my first experience playing in front of a live audience when Bruce actually let me. But my favorite memory would be my first gig. One of my first gigs when I was in this. We were this Christian group called Hog, and we called ourselves Hooked on God. It was an acronym, and we were.
Where's that cricket sound?
Yeah, it's I know right here.
Good thing I didn't tell
So we played in a retirement home. Like, we didn't have gigs because you just didn't do that. We played in a retirement home, and I remember it was they were asleep. This one guy had those really nice tall chairs that you could just fall. I mean, there was just this big red chair, and this guy was like right in front of me, and I was playing my drum set, that blue one right there, and he slept the entire time, and I thought, well, this is it. Here we go. I'm gonna. This is my life from here on out. They're playing drums in the retirement home.
You played in a Christian band called Hog at a retirement home and couldn't wake an old man up out of his chair.
That's correct. So, amen.
That is beautiful.
It is beautiful. So, don't take my memory. It's my memory.
No, I just didn't know what I was going to hear.
I mean, it is. I didn't want to be cliche and share my memory about playing Walk This Way again.
My first paying gig was at the halftime show at a donkey basketball game. People run around donkeys throwing balls into a hoop. I don't know. Maybe should have said that.
Maybe.
My first paying gig was at Skate Town, USA in Stanton for a fundraiser, and they brought the bands in, and we're up here, and I'm playing for some young kid. First time, I only had my drum set for maybe 2 months. And we rehearsed a couple of times, and then got up, and then we realized two things. One, we're going to play with the record, with him singing along and us playing. We didn't know that. And two, the name of the band. We found out what it was. Daryl Jones, the kid's name. We were Daryl Jones and the Daryl Tones. So there you go. Write that down for next time.
Daryl Jones
and the
Daryl Tones.
Oh, man.
We had, I was in a band called Cripple in the No Minds. Literally, that's a true story. Cripple in the No Minds.
Man, I've had a whole lot of fun getting to know you guys. I mean, I know of you, Bruce, but I haven't really hung out with you. I know this guy, JT. It's great to meet you.
You too.
Thank you guys for coming and sharing.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Guys,
Excellent.
thank you for being on Beats, Brews, and Buddies. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.